Christmas, everybody. Happy New Year. Good Kwanzaa Day. Cinco de Mayo. I don't know all the names. It's March Madness. The first game tips off in 15 minutes. We are going to take apart 6 college basketball games today and a bonus, the early one tomorrow. Plus, we're going to delve into the Otani situation. Marco D'Angelo joining us, Steve Merril joining us, Drew Martin joining us. It's an all-star show. It's WagerTalk Today, the best damn sports betting show on the planet. And as Teddy said off air, today's the day, Teddy, where you and I can look cool.
Yeah, not so much. Nonetheless, it's a nice theory, but you talked about it. There aren't many more exciting days on the sports betting calendar than the opening day of March Madness. That's today. Let's get into it. I know you guys are pumped because I'm pumped. And look, I've been doing this for a long time. You know, you don't get juiced for that much stuff. The big dance, you still get juiced, man. You still get that. You got that tingly feeling just waiting for tip-offs, 16 of them over the course of the next 12 hours.
Teddy, before we bring Marco in, listen, I love the big dance. I love March Madness, college basketball, yoo-hoo, woo-hoo. I look at this as betting opportunities. I honestly could care less, bro. Like I don't mean to sound like a downer here, but I don't care who wins. I don't care who gets through today. I don't care about anything other than we have a lot of betting opportunities in front of us. We need to take advantage of that. It's a chance to win some money. Nothing is better than that. Not even Marco D'Angelo. Marco, how are you, my friend? Welcome to the show.
I'm just glad to be here with you two guys on, it is, Teddy said there's nothing like this day. If you have never been to Vegas for a Super Bowl or March Madness, it's a guy's trip bucket list that you have to do. And I used to do it all the time before I moved out here. This was an annual ritual, either this week or what we had last week. I love those 2 weeks, the conference tournament week. Come out here, and it's become big business. Teddy, I mean, you've been out here a long time. It is now big business, March Madness, where you're paying for seats, and all of the parties, the watch parties up and down the strip. Things have changed a little bit, but it's changed for the better for the clients in their viewing pleasures and options here in Vegas.
Yeah, Marco,
yeah,
I don't. Sorry, Teddy, go ahead.
No, fine. Compared to the Final Four weekend, for example. The Final Four weekend, you walk in any sports book in town and get a seat and watch the game. It's still something going on, but it's not all basketball all the time. Obviously, this weekend has a little bit of a different feel to it than 2 weekends from now. We'll be talking about the Final Four teams standing. Let's get into some basketball for today, Marco. And we want to start with NC State and Texas Tech. Fascinating game. We're looking at the WagerTalk live odds screen. Of course, this is a 9:40 Eastern time projected tip. So it's your late night bailout special if you need it. Texas Tech -5, total 145.5. Looks like there's two-way action on this game. We've seen money for the favorite at the open. We've seen some buyback on the dog. How do you like Texas Tech and NC State? Can the Wolfpack continue their torrid run through March?
Okay, first of all, Teddy, let's be confident. Let's not say the late night bailout. Let's say the late night pushing for more winnings for a profitable day. Let's go that route with it. And Teddy, the $1 million question with this game, and it's something that, you don't see very often, conference tournament week, NC State, the only way they were getting in was they had to win the tournament. Okay, we see that happen all the time. But I can't remember too many times where you see a team do it 5 days, 5 games in 5 days. We see some, 4-game runs, 3-game runs from, some of the middle of the pack teams. But NC State did something that, was remarkable. And they did it by beating North Carolina in the final. Now, I'm going to play conspiracy theorist there for a second and say, when they got to the championship game, we all know the only way they're getting in is to win. North Carolina, they had, they wanted to cut the nets down. Don't get me wrong. They wanted to be the ACC champs, but they were the regular season champs. How much energy do you really want to put in there and go full tilt when you pretty much were locked into your seed, number one seed that you had? And as far as the conference goes, money, the more teams you get in, the more money it is for the conference. So if you want to play conspiracy theorist, then that's the NC State saga. But now they're playing a Texas Tech team that most people are going to look with recency bias, and what you're going to see is that incredible run of NC State versus Texas Tech that got absolutely annihilated in their conference tournament game, 82-59. Well, I'm going to pump the brakes for a second and say there's a big difference playing Houston than playing NC State. That defense for Houston is the best in the country. They're one of the best teams in the country. They're one of the heavy favorites to cut the nets down with the championship this year. So don't overreact to Texas Tech's performance in the conference tournament over the weekend. And there's an angle out there as well. Teams that lose their last game by 20 or more points have come back and been a profitable point spread position in that opening round of the big dance. So with all of that said, I am going to go ahead and line up on Texas Tech. I know they did it 5 games in 5 days, and they've had 3 full days of rest here, 4 days of rest. So they should be fine. But you know what? You don't know what that did to their bodies overall. And maybe in the second half, when those jumpers start coming up a little bit short because the legs get a little weary and you don't play as good defense, Texas Tech pulls away for the win. I'll lay it with Texas Tech here. And a little stat for you, that North Carolina game on Saturday went over the total. Last 3 seasons, when NC State's coming off a game that went over the total, they're just 17-37 against the spread in their next game. Give me Texas Tech.
Texas Tech -5, late night action on a Thursday. And let me start with this. I'm with you in theory. All right. For me, it's a Texas Tech or pass type of ball game. My concern here is more with the Red Raiders. You talked about the recency bias. They lost their last game. They didn't play great basketball down the stretch. I got them at 5-9 ATS their last 14 games. They've been something of an undervalued commodity, and several of those wins came against, shall we say, the lesser teams, the West Virginias and Okie States of the world, of the Big 12. Is Texas Tech good enough to pull away and win by margin? Are they a team that hits their free throws? Are they a team that gets stops at the end of the game? Can we trust this team to not just win, but to win relatively comfortably?
You are correct, Teddy, in that 5-9 run. The only difference is I'm looking at the last 5. They went 4-1. Yes, 2 of those were West Virginia and Oklahoma State, 2 of the dregs of the Big 12, but both of those were on the road. So it makes it look a little better than it was. But the last 2 were against Baylor and BYU. And Baylor's a good ball club. BYU was a big surprise this year moving over into the Big 12. So I'm not worried about them. I think they put it together at the right time, got everything fixed during that, bad streak that they had. And let's face it, Teddy, was there a better conference this year than the Big 12? Really? I know there was a couple bad teams on the bottom, but top heavy, there you could have went 6, 7, 8 deep in that conference this year. It was the best, in my opinion. So I think the class is going to come through here, and Texas Tech will prevail.
I go 8 deep regularly, Marco. Welcome, everybody. What a show. I'm pumped. Teddy, I am excited now. You were like starting with me that I was down before the show, but Marco has got me excited, bro.
That was all the time with Marco.
Just for the record, Marco, there's pretty much no place I'd rather not be than Vegas this weekend. I think that's my age talking. What am I going to do there? Pick up 18-year-olds? No.
Bet on basketball all day for 4 days.
I don't want to be
like
around
everybody
all
else
those
is doing.
people. I'd go bananas. Like, no, that's not a place for me. But it would have been a place for me 20 years ago. Marco,
40.
let's turn our attention to Texas playing Colorado State. You like Colorado State plus 2.5. Tell us why. And then I have a question for both of you guys after your analysis.
All right, then I'll tell you, Prez, one of the reasons that you should be here, you're more of a tournament player than a cash game player. The poker games this week are very, very juicy after everybody's watched basketball.
But same with the rodeo.
All day and drank. Yeah,
same with the rodeo, dude.
Absolutely. Some of my favorite times of the year. But getting to this one here, we've got Colorado State playing Texas, and the narrative here is going to be, well, okay, first of all, it's Colorado State. They had to play in the play-in game, so they are at a disadvantage. Well, I'm not one of those guys that subscribe to that where because you had to play on Tuesday, jump back on a plane, get to the next destination and play with one game to prepare, it's a huge disadvantage. Logistics-wise, of course, it is not ideal. But what is ideal is, and it's something that I talked about last week whenever we did the conference tournaments, you got a game under your belt, okay? The jitters are gone. The confidence is there because you just won a game and you moved on. You're now in the big dance, all right? In Texas, as much as I just praised the Big 12 in the last segment, Texas is not one of the teams that I was that high on. This is a team that I don't trust laying points. Granted, we're not laying a lot of points, and the conventional wisdom here is going to be, well, 2.5. We're basically talking about, kind of pick the winner. We got a Big 12 team, a traditional, powerhouse in Texas, playing Colorado State from the Mountain West Conference. Oh, we all talked ad nauseum how bad the Mountain West Conference has done. And I know when I give my pick on Colorado State, that's going to be the first question out of Teddy's mouth is, what about the history of the Mountain West Conference? Well, I'm going to debunk that right now and just say this. Yes, the past history is the Mountain West Conference has not done good in the big dance. But I'm going to tell you something right now. Don't blindly do that. I have not tuned into a single sports show anywhere that they're not talking about the Mountain West Conference's collapses in the big dance. Just remember, the landscape of college sports is not the same because of two things: transfer portal and NILs, okay? Anybody that's got, alumni, big boosters, you're going to be able to work deals to get players to come to your school. That gap is not what it used to be. And we're getting a lot of perceived value here because Vegas knows everybody's betting against these Mountain West Conference teams. I'm taking Colorado State. I think this line is too high. We're getting value. I actually think Colorado State wins this game by 3 to 5 points. I'll grab the points. I'll sprinkle a little bit on Colorado State, and I'll give you a couple quick stats on Colorado State. When you're talking about how bad the Mountain West Conference is, well, why don't you take a look at non-conference games? They were 6-0 against the spread this year, Colorado State, in non-conference games. Colorado State, after a blowout win, 20 points or more. This season, 6-0 in that category. In Texas, as a favorite this season, about 7-14 against the spread. Go ahead and bet against the Mountain West Conference in this one. Drive the line up for me. I'll take Colorado State.
Well, there you go. Begging the clients to bet against your play so that you can get greater value. So here's my question.
It's all about me.
Here's my. It always is. Well, listen. You come on my show wearing a salmon a salmon shirt. You're. That's rude. Marco, Teddy. We got Michigan State going off in a minute, and I should have asked this question before they went off. But here they are as the 9 seed playing Mississippi State as the 8, and we see this regularly. Duke is the 4, etc. My question to you is, I have noticed over the many years that a team like Michigan State does nothing all season long, gets into the big dance with a 9 seed, and then goes on some insane run. there's pedigree in March Madness, is there not? Does that factor into any of your betting? Teddy, you go first. No, Marco, go ahead.
Okay, the answer is no.
Okay.
Not even a little bit. I don't care if a team. Let's put it this way: who's in the Final Four last year? Florida Atlantic, San Diego State. All right, Mountain West team, and a team that had been one previous tournament appearance in the history of the program, I think, or something. It's not a scenario where the betting markets are sleeping on anything. So no, Marco.
The example you gave, though, with Michigan State, I think that one team is different than the rest of them. And Tom Izzo is a guy that never has a gaudy win-loss record because he plays a murderous schedule in November and early December. And that makes his team tougher when they get into the tournament.
So if you read my write-up on the Michigan State, Mississippi State game, I went through Tom Izzo's tournament history over the last decade or so. And let's just say the reputation is a little bit better than the actual results. He's had some nice runs, but it's not every year. Not even close.
There was a Cleves, right? A Cleves played for
Michigan Cleves
State.
Won a national title.
Yes.
And then the Pistons drafted him and he stunk.
I mean, it feels like yesterday, and you're going to tell me it was 15 years ago.
Longer than that. That was 2000.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That was 24 years ago.
Jesus. We are old. 3 old men yelling at clouds. Marco, what do you got to promote?
Well, guys, I've been telling you for weeks, we've been on a tremendous run with the basketball, both NBA and college basketball. And we've put together a VIP all-access package. You're going to get everything. All college plays through the Final Four. All NBA plays through the NBA Finals. Hockey through the Stanley Cup. In baseball through June 23rd, which is the latest date the NBA Finals can go. And also Triple Crown, Kentucky Derby, Preakness, and Belmont. Get everything. $649. It's a tremendous value. It beats paying $39 a day for an all-access or $25 for our premier play of the day. Pick it up over at WagerTalk.
There we go. Marco D'Angelo, everyone. Thanks for joining us, brother. And kick ass today. Keep the run going. Teddy, Benny 8 says Cleves works at a Jiffy Lube up the road from him now. Okay. I have nothing to add to that. Okay. Shohei Otani. You want to talk about him right now?
We have to. All right. Because this is a big story. It's a national news story. It was on CNN. It's a lead story on ESPN all day. If you missed it, quick recap. All right. Otani's interpreter got arrested and charged with fraud. What happened? Well, the feds are investigating a bookie, an illegal bookie in Southern California named Matthew Boyer. And there were transfers from Otani to accounts that were Boyer-related accounts. 4.5 million in wire transfers. Now, after his interpreter gave a long interview for ESPN explaining all the details, which made sense to me, Otani's publicist came out and said, quote, "In the course of responding to recent media inquiries, we discovered that Shohei has been the victim of a massive theft, and we're turning the matter over to authorities." So Otani's saying this 4.5 million, oh, he stole it, nothing to do with me. Cover your ass move, clearly. Now, from all indications, the interpreter, Mizuhara, and Otani have been like this since 2018. Quote, the quote was, they've been together 24/7, more than a brother. So to say now, Otani's spokesman saying, well, I don't know, it's gambling? There's no illegal gambling going on here. It doesn't smell true. All that being said, the issue here is betting with an illegal bookie. That's how this whole thing started. And Mizuhara, the interpreter, said he started betting soccer, he was betting NFL, he fell into debt, he tried to double or nothing, and next thing you know, it's 4.5 million. Okay, And of course, his quote, I want everyone to know Shohei had zero involvement in betting. I want people to know that I didn't know this is illegal. I learned my lesson the hard way. I'll never do sports betting again. The only way stuff like this happens is in a scenario where you're betting on credit with a bookie. Illegal sports betting. What do we have? 40 states legal now. This is such a strong take for legal betting. And of course, the mainstream media is not seeing it that way. They're saying scandal. There may be a scandal here. Otani's not going to get touched. You'll see. It'll be fine. But know that when you're betting legally and you have to deposit funds, cash money, it's not the same as betting with a bookie on credit where you can get into real trouble. It's a huge story. But the answer? Bet legally. That's what I learned last night. There'll be a lot more about this in the media in the weeks and months to come.
Teddy, listen, I'm going to give you my take really quick. Firstly, I don't understand how an interpreter got access to Otani's bank account. That makes no sense.
He did it. And Otani transferred the money. Otani,
and then he said he didn't. And then he retracted that statement. Yes. The retraction made no sense whatsoever. The chances are more than zero that the interpreter is covering for Shohei Otani. For sure, it's more than zero. The other thing, the other take is, why shouldn't these athletes be allowed to bet? I don't understand that. Betting at a legal sports book's idiotic. Yeah, go ahead.
They are allowed to bet. They're not allowed to bet with bookies. They're not allowed to bet baseball, and they're not allowed. They're allowed to bet legally. They can bet any sport they want. Come to Vegas, go to any state where betting is legal. But California is one of the few states that have made the choice not to legalize betting, and stuff like this happens when you don't legalize betting.
So I'm going to leave you with one last thought. I was absolutely baffled why Shohei Otani would allow the Dodgers to pay him X hundreds of millions of dollars later on and lose out on doubling his money in interest. Now I know. He's an idiot. That's it. I mean, he's an idiot. And that's okay. We don't have to judge our athletes by how smart or dumb they are. Clearly, Shohei Otani is a moron. Steve Merril joining us. Steve, anything to add?
Best intro ever, Teddy. Once again, idiot, moron, Steve Merril. No,
Steve, you're gonna.
Teddy, my first thought was everyone thinks, he's fixing baseball games or whatnot. I was probably betting on, maybe the NFL. Who knows if he's become American or not? Otherwise, it might be tennis or something or Japanese. What was it? Do you know what it was?
Yes. There was no baseball at all. That was very clear. There was no baseball. There were no records of betting on baseball for the bookie. It was international soccer and NFL and college football and tennis and all the stuff that people bet that's not baseball.
Right, that makes a big difference. But obviously, it's scary. Yeah, it's a scare thing because he's within that realm. But once again, he's got so much money. $4.5 million to him is chump change still.
Sure. International soccer, the NBA, the NFL, college football. His quote: "I'm terrible at gambling. Never going to do it again. Never won any money. I dug myself a hole and it kept on getting bigger, and it meant I had to bet bigger and get out of it, and I just kept on losing. It's like a snowball effect." That has happened to me in my life, but early on in my career. The snowball effect, I've talked about it on the show a couple of times, where you double nothing, you up your unit sizes, and that only happens when you're betting on credit with a bookie. It never happens when you're betting cash with a legal bookmaker.
Great point.
It's a California problem.
And I've never been in that situation. I came into this industry. I never looked at myself as a gambler. And I think, I should do a show about this. I call it the gambling paradox. Why do gamblers lose so often? It's because they're gamblers. It's that notion that they just keep gambling. Yeah, they just keep, the no limit hold'em poker players. Why, they start at 1-2, they end up at 3 million, 6 million. It doesn't matter how much money they have. They're 2 hands away from losing it all. The gambling paradox. So I was never like that, Teddy. I never considered myself a gambler. And you've been to casinos with me. I don't play any games, like nothing. I stand behind the blackjack table while my friends waste their money. Steve, let's get into it, brother. You are hosting WagerTalk Today next week, Monday through Friday. So the listeners will get a huge dose of Steve Merril. Wagner, North Carolina, minus $1 million with a total of 133.5. There has to be a correlation between the side and total here. Where are we going?
Yes, excellent point. And there is definitely a correlation, and that's the key to handicapping this game. First of all, I'm not big on parlays. That is gambling versus investing. But the only time a two-team parlay does make some sense, in my opinion, is when the side and total are correlated. I do think you can make a case in this game that Wagner and the under, North Carolina and the over are correlated. So this is a situation where if you want to play a two-teamer, it's Wagner under or North Carolina over. And the pace of play is pretty obvious in this one. You know, Wagner advances to the round of 64 here. They played before Virginia last night. It's the first time and hopefully the only time in history that we had the two slowest teams in the country playing back-to-back games on national TV. Virginia was 362nd in tempo and pace. We saw how they did. 14 points at the half, no basket in the last 9.5 minutes. Well, Wagner, to put it in perspective, is 361 entering this week in tempo. They're the second slowest team. They're like a UVA. Difference is they're even worse offensively. Virginia's like in the 190s. Wagner is 333 in offensive efficiency. They were hot from three-point range against Howard, and that's why they were winning the majority of that game. They still almost lost. They are the worst team in the tournament right now. They are the worst offensive team remaining in the round of 64, and they are the slowest pace team. So, yes, I lean North Carolina, and that would kind of get you leaning the over. The problem, the concern I have is that I think Wagner might just slow this game down to a crawl. That's the only chance they have. Whether they're able to do so against UNC is a big question. You know, Duke plays slow, and UNC sped them up and had high-scoring wins in both games this season. Wagner plays a lot slower. And the other thing I'll point out as well is there's not much line value. I made the line around 21.5. It's up to 25 now. I want nothing to do with Wagner. I hate playing bad offensive teams. So the more I dug into this, I think the play is the Wagner team total under. Instead of looking at the game total under 130.5, and I, by the way, I do, I'm sorry, I was looking at the Tennessee total is 130.5. That's our next game, 133.5. Instead of looking at that game over or under on the total, how about the team total under 54? I think that's the best play here. If Wagner slows it down, it works. If not, they're still facing the number 6 ranked defense in the country in UNC. Everyone talks about UNC playing up tempo, good offensive team. They're actually a better defensive team, maybe the best defensive addition they've had in decades. I just don't see Wagner scoring in this game. I like the Wagner team total under 54, and this is an early game at 2:45 Eastern today on Thursday afternoon.
Wagner team total under. I'm seeing 54.5s out there right now on the WagerTalk Live odds screen. Let me ask you this. When it comes to the 20-plus point favorites in the opening round, and we're only going to see these in the opening round of the big dance, you know, unless somebody pulls off a major upset, that we might see it again in round 2. But in general, these big point spreads, 15, 20, 25 points. When you're playing the favorite, are you playing full game? Are you going to split it up between full game, first half? Do you worry about a team losing focus with a big lead after halftime? Talk about your approach to the bigger favorites on the card in the NCAA tournament. And really, it's only for today and tomorrow, the vast majority of these.
Yeah, it's an excellent point, Teddy. I had 7 best bets today on Thursday for my clients, and I'm not using the big favorites. I loved a lot of games. It's my deepest college card of the season, but the big favorites rarely make the cut. So I kind of stay away from these games in general because there is uncertainty. I was going to say it's never a question who's going to win. That's changed, obviously, in recent years with a couple 16 seeds winning recently. But I want to use that point as a handicapping factor. You know, the fact that a 1 seed lost last year, you could almost make a case the first big boy out of the gate, which is North Carolina today at 2:45 Eastern, will be extra focused. And keep in mind, Fairleigh Dickinson came from the play-in round last year, which is an added reason they'll be extra focused. And then on top of that, UNC's coming off a bad loss as a 9.5, 10-point favorite in the ACC finals. So I think they'll be extra focused. This is a spot where if you're going to play it, you better lay it. It's all about motivation. And you do worry about them taking their foot off the gas, but the odds makers factor that in. The full game is 25. First half is 14.5. You know, it's well more than half of it. And the other reason I wouldn't play the first half in this game is because Wagner does have some momentum coming in from just playing Tuesday. I think they're going to tire in the second half and falter out. So I do like UNC here, and I think the full game makes more sense. But I think the fact that Purdue lost last year to a play-in team will have Carolina more focused, and they won't take their foot off the gas for that reason.
I think that's a great point, Steve. And you want to continue with these big favorites, Tennessee playing St. Peter's. You're on the Vols.
Yeah, I mean, look, I use that angle with UNC as saying, hey, look, guys, a 1 seed lost last year to a 16 seed, right? You can make a similar argument here with Tennessee. It's a similar situation, even though they're a 2 seed. First of all, they're also coming off a loss, but it was a worse loss than UNC. They didn't make the finals. They were eliminated earlier by Mississippi State. And keep in mind, they'd lost the game before that against Kentucky to finish the regular season. So we have a quality team, one of the best teams in the country, coming out off back-to-back straight-up losses as 8 and 9.5 point favorites. Focus spot because of that. And then look who they're playing. It's St. Peter's, a team that's the only 15 seed ever to make a run. Basically, I believe it was the Elite Eight, not only the Sweet 16. I think it was the Elite Eight a couple years ago. So it's a name team. So you can say, hey, look, this team made it a couple years ago. It's just got motivation written all over it, a team that's in a focus spot. And here again, I think they can take advantage of a pretty weak offensive team in St. Peter's. We talked about Wagner playing slow, being the worst offensive team in the nation. Well, St. Peter's also plays extremely slow, 338th tempo, but they're only 306 on offense. So, yes, if they slow this down, it concerns me. Maybe they stay within the number, and that's why I didn't make my best bet card. But still, if you're going to play it, the only way is to lay it. And the other problem with teams like Wagner and St. Peter's, when they get behind, and we talk about this in college football, when you want to lay big numbers in college football, you don't want backdoor cover potential. Well, when they slow down half-court team, it's like an option football team, right? When they get behind, now they're out of their element. They have to chase, and they don't have the offense to do so. So I think the floodgates could open in both the UNC and this Tennessee game as well.
So Rick Barnes, how do we say this politely? He's been awful in March Madness, repeatedly awful with multiple teams. If you look, I saw something, Rick Barnes' point spread record by month. It's incredible. Every November, he's a great point spread coach. Every March, he's in the 30% range long term. St. Peter's made the Elite Eight, and they won a few years back, and they won the MAC tournament this year because they're really good at taking teams that want to run and slowing them down. Isn't this a bad matchup for Tennessee? Are you comfortable laying this price with this coach against a team that's shown they can slow good teams down?
Yeah, one of the reasons I'm a little more comfortable, Teddy, is that Tennessee's actually been able to speed up the inferior teams. I know they didn't play many of them, probably didn't play a team as slow as St. Peter's, but they were able to somewhat dictate their tempo. And Tennessee is a really good defensive team. They're a top 3 defensive team in my ratings. And yes, they do play faster this year, but I still think they're capable of playing well in the half court. You look at some of the bottom feeders they played this year, they held them routinely to the low 50, even 40-point range. So I think they could shut down a really bad St. Peter's offense. But yeah, the slow pace is a concern when laying this number. Bigger point, though, with Rick Barnes, I released my bracket to everybody at WagerTalk.com, all my clients. And by the way, it's still available. If you sign up for a direct subscription this week, you'll get the bracket as 7 first-round upsets for today and tomorrow and Thursday and Friday. It is still available for sale by the way if you want just the bracket. But I have Colorado State in the Sweet 16. In fact, I had them before they even won Tuesday over Virginia because I thought they'd win that game. And I always like to play a play-in team because half of those teams, including Fairleigh Dickinson, usually win another game in the round of 64. So if they can get by Texas, which is a tough matchup, and I think it could almost be a toss-up, but I think CSU definitely could give Tennessee, and Texas could give Tennessee trouble as well. I agree. Barnes overrated. Painter, 1-14 in the Big Ten tournament the last few years. Double-digit seed has knocked out Purdue 3 straight times. So yeah, Barnes and Painter are 2 teams, 2 coaches I do not have going far. With that said, though, I think talent-wise they can take care of St. Peter's.
Steve Merril, everybody, the number 1 handicapper in basketball sides at WagerTalk all time. And just to give that even more credibility, I went and looked at his record, and 90% of his plays are sides. So basically, one of the best basketball handicappers on the planet, one of your biggest cards ever. I don't think I've ever seen you release 7 NFL plays on a Sunday or 7 college basketball plays on an any day. I mean, this is a huge day for you.
Yeah, it's just a great time of the year. And I mean, it's such a no-brainer to get a direct subscription. You can get the one-day all access for $39, and then it gets you to the bracket as well. A 1 week for $99 gets you 7 days and nights of college and pro basketball. And the number one all-time sides is the NBA and college hoops. NBA very strong this time of year as well, so don't sleep on that. NIT, CBI, anything else we have. So check it out. By the way, early tip-off just started, but I do have 6 more games going for a Thursday, 2 late afternoon, and 4 nighttime. So whether you're joining us live or on the replay, plenty of time to get on board my strongest and deepest college basketball card of the season. And oh, by the way, we're already putting up Friday. I've got a free play for Friday college hoops on my page right now, and then numerous best bets to come. Check out Fade the Public. I did a Thursday edition. That's on WagerTalk TV right now, and I will have a bonus Friday edition as well. So whether you're joining us live or on replay, still plenty of value and plenty of best bets and free plays. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com.
Excellent stuff. Guys, if you're liking what you hear, take a second out of your day, hit that like button. I went 2-0. Perfect sweep in the daily presidential address yesterday. I have 3 hockey plays to give out today. I love them all. So if you want to hear that, please hit the like button. Teddy, man, I got 3 college basketball plays going, all of them tonight. And tomorrow I have a Steve Merril day. Tomorrow is my biggest card in. I would say it's my biggest college basketball card in my life. That's how many play I have. 5 plays. 3 of them are 4%. I have my first 5% of the season, of the whole year, tomorrow. Everything lined up for tomorrow. All those plays are up already. I'm freaking excited, dude. What do you got going for the clients tonight? And let's get to your big game breakdown.
Sure. We had an early start today. We've got 3 more on tap for the rest. Today did pass in the NBA for tonight, but we do have 3 selections up and available in NCAA tournament action, including a 4% best bet. Tomorrow's card will be posted throughout the day today. Big game breakdown time. Let's talk early start Friday action. This one tips off while we're on air doing Wager Talk Today live every weekday, 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you back east. Right now, look at the Wager Talk live odds screen. Florida Atlantic -3. There are 3.5 that are starting to pop up. Total sitting in the 141.5 range with the Owls over the Wildcats. Let me give you guys a promo code real quick. Teddy7 is going to get you $30 off a 7-day pass at checkout. Right now, the time is get it all access. Don't try to buy individual plays. That would be my advice. And Teddy7, again, $30 off a 7-day all access pass. Just type in that promo code at checkout. So FAU was a Final Four team last year. You know, they lost on a buzzer beater, 72-71 to San Diego State. You know, it's certainly a team with a pretty good pedigree. And already this season, you know, FAU had a great non-conference. They beat Arizona right before Christmas. They've been favored in every game since. They're below 50% ATS as single-digit chalk, -9.5 or lower. 7-14 ATS overall. They've been consistently overvalued. And frankly, they should be 6-15 instead of 7-14 ATS. But they did cover -7.5 in overtime against Wichita. So this team has been a consistently overvalued commodity. Who they've been beating? They had a couple of wins and covers against North Texas during that span. They beat Memphis by 8 on Senior Day as 7.5-point favorites. Got the cover by a hook. But the other wins and covers, Tulsa, Rice, SMU, when they collapsed down the stretch. That's not much for 3 months of work. They got upset by Temple in the semifinals of the AAC conference. And from a power rating perspective, again, this team was favored over Illinois. You know, they were -2.5. They were on a neutral against Illinois. They lost that game by 9 at Madison Square Garden. There's no power rating bargains for FAU. Northwestern just earned back-to-back bids for the first time in school history. They have UConn coming up next. So it's a one-game scenario for either of these two teams. All right. But make no mistake about it. All right. This is a Wildcats team that has been routinely undervalued in the marketplace. Oh, it's Northwestern. Oh, the Big Ten's not good this year. Northwestern had a good season, though the Big Ten's not good. It's nonsense. All right. Chris Collins, sharp coach. Went the first time. We didn't do it as well as the next year. That was a fluke. We did it last year and everything was going to be like it was the time before. These guys refuse to believe in that narrative. We're writing our own story. All they've done all year is just show up every day and work their butts off. Boo Buie is a great name. He's easy to root for. All right. And it's not just Boo Buie, an experienced Northwestern team. 3 other players averaging double figures. They've been really good in tight games. I'll take the points. Give me the Wildcats. Plus 3.5 you can find right now. And that's your big game breakdown. Early start action for Friday. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Thanks, Teddy Covers. A few more minutes left of the show, but we got time for Drew Martin. Drew, we haven't seen you in a while, man. Welcome back. Love having you.
Prez, always good to be on with you. And hey, thanks for having me back. And Teddy, I miss you as well, buddy, with the opening line report. But I'll tell you, the good thing about being on WagerTalk today, Prez, is I think you can make the argument this is one of the best sports betting days of the calendar year. How many people are sick today calling out of work watching the games?
Yeah.
Hopefully we can find more winners than losers.
Yeah, dude. I mean, listen, I heard Australia shut it down today. They're so freaking pumped about this game. And Spain, Belgium, Portugal, Germany, Russia, China, India. Yeah. The greatest sports day in the world, says an American. I love it, Drew. The world centers around you, and I get it, and I respect it.
Who's our audience?
I know, Teddy. I know, but it's not the greatest day in the history of the world. Okay, Drew, I'm excited about today. You're clearly excited about today. Everybody in America is excited about today. Let's keep on rolling. You got 2 bets you want to talk to us about. The first one is on Akron. Tell us why they will cover.
Yeah, a little 3-14 matchup here. And I think the dog's barking. We can get plus 12 with the Zips. Keep in mind, guys, this is a 1:30 Eastern tip from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And if you remember 2 years ago, Prez, Akron, they were up against UCLA, catching about what this number is, plus 13. That was an easy wire-to-wire cover for the Zips 2 years ago. I think this kind of plays out the same as that did. Sure, Creighton is a very good team out of the Big East. They can shoot. That's no doubt about that. That's why they're here. That's why they're one of the top 12 rated teams in terms of their seeding in the tournament. Can't deny that. They got the big 7-footer down low. It's going to be tough for Akron. But however, athletically with Creighton, if you're kind of looking for a weakness, when you watch them play, I don't think there's all that much like next level talent, guys moving around, shaking things up, getting turnovers. Sure enough, it shows in their metrics. I mean, they're near the bottom nationally in turning their opponents over. Steal percentage, they're not going to get many of those. And now they're up against the MAC champions, which, by the way, the MAC is 8-4 against the spread the last 12 years in the tournament. And this Akron roster is very experienced. It's all juniors and seniors on their starting 5. 4 of their starters are seniors, senior point guard, senior center. And they have the best 3-point defense in the MAC, top 15 3-point defense nationally. So kind of the profile that you're looking for going up against Creighton is defending the 3-point line, getting the hand in the face, blocking shots. That's actually what Akron does very, very well, Prez. So overall, catching 12 here with the Zips, I like Akron.
So we've seen the Zips lose contact. The game of Drake against Drake stand out to me. They haven't been a dog very often, but they lost by 20 to Drake. They lost, they have some impressive wins very early in the season. We talk about beating San Diego State. But this is a team that isn't supposed to be here. They're here because a kid made a bonehead decision to foul with 4 seconds left, thinking they were down 1 instead of up 1. They lost that game. Is that a team that's all of a sudden they have new life? Or is that a team that maybe they know that they got real lucky to be here? And I worry about MAC teams in the dance. I do. Their track record hasn't been a whole lot better than the Mountain West teams. So talk to me about that concept. A team that's extraordinarily lucky to be here. Is that, hey, we're playing with house money, let's go for it? Or is that, okay, well, when the run comes, it might be ugly for the Zips, because at some point Creighton's going to start draining some threes in this game, aren't they?
Sure, yeah, there's no denying that. But I mean, again, I would go up with the 3-point defense from Akron. It's been good pretty much all season long, and I guess I would just kind of combat that with maybe both teams playing slow as well. Neither team really looks to push the pace, so putting a dozen points in your pocket, Teddy, that is something that kind of correlates with not that many possessions projected in this matchup. And I guess I would just say, I don't know, I actually think the MAC has done pretty well in the tournament. I mean, you bring up the Mountain West against the spread isn't very good, but the MAC, again, going over the last decade or so, is 8-4 ATS. So I guess I would disagree with you there.
Drew Martin, why is there a kangaroo in the middle of a Zip in Akron logo? What, I don't understand. What is a Zip a kangaroo? I'm a little lost. Are there kangaroos in Akron? Explain.
That would be maybe a question for Mr. Teddy Covers.
It's funny. I don't think that I don't know where that logo came from. I have no idea what that is. That a bunny rabbit, a kangaroo? I don't know.
Not sure either.
Okay,
that's not the law. Yeah, I'm interested in that now.
If anyone knows the story on why there is a kangaroo in Akron and what a zip has to do with a kangaroo, and maybe what even is a zip, let us know. Put it up in the comment section. Drew, Zippy.
Their mascot is Zippy. Okay, there it is.
But is Zippy a kangaroo? Like, I know Flipper's a dolphin, and Bambi's a deer or something, and Scooby's a dew, but
according to
I'm
Wikipedia,
unfamiliar
Zippy
with the
is a
famous
kangaroo.
Zippy the kangaroo. Okay, what do
Yes.
I know? Drew, McNeese State. I love the name of this team. The McNeese State Whalers +7. I made the Whalers part up, but
yeah, it's actually the Cowboys. And they are not playing Kansas, by the way. They are playing Gonzaga. And the Zags are laying a touchdown here, 149 being the total. So, guys, talked about one-day game. We got one night matchup here. This is 7:25 Eastern, the 12-5. Who doesn't want to hear a 12-5 upset? Well, I got one for you, 149 being the total. And it's McNeese State +7. A couple reasons why. Their head coach, Will Wade, you might remember a few years ago, he's the head coach for LSU, had some off-the-court, quote-unquote, issues. Well, he's worked his way back, and he's now the head man for McNeese State, and he's recruited very, very well. This is a 28-3 team. That is their record, McNeese State. They have 11 straight wins, one of the hottest teams in the country. They're 25-1 their last 26 games, one loss since Thanksgiving. That is the team we're betting on. And they're up against Gonzaga here. They lost each of their last 5 games outside of conference. I like going back. Teddy, you asked me the question earlier in the last game about, out of conference matchups, because Gonzaga here is one of the teams, their last 5 out of conference right before WCC started, they were 0-5 against the spread. They lost 3 of them outright. So I kind of think this Gonzaga team is getting a little bit of, how do I say this? Like a little bit, I don't know, too much recognition just because of their name and what they've done in the past and also what they've done in conference. Now they're going up against a team that not a lot of people know about. McNeese State is not in the tournament very often. They find themselves here, and they are a 3-point shooting team, just under 40% beyond the 3-point line. That's number 6 in the country. If this team gets hot, you're looking for an underdog, a double-digit seed to kind of make a run here. I actually think McNeese State is worth a look. They're top 25 in both offensive and defensive turnover percentage. I love that. That speaks to their athleticism. They're going to turn Gonzaga over a couple times, get a couple extra possessions here. And I go back to the senior point guard, McNeese State with a senior point guard, senior center combination. And out of conference for McNeese State, look, their overall schedule, because of the conference they play in, not very tough, but they did beat VCU. And they beat UAB, the Blazers, as well, who are also in the tournament. So they have fared well at times out of conference. Catching 7 here, +250 on the money line. I think they win outright. I like Will Wade and McNeese State to move on in the 12 seed.
There we go. Drew has called a 12 seed upset. Okay, so Drew and Teddy, why is the Akron Zips mascot a kangaroo? This was sent to us by Chris Allen. The school's nickname of Zips, short for zippers, was introduced in 1925, inspired by B.F. Goodrich brand of rubber galoshes with metal fasteners. In 1954, the administration launched a contest and they voted for a kangaroo with boxing gloves and a zipper. I think they really lost a great opportunity. I thought a zipper would be an incredible. You could do like a little zipper over a teeny amount of cleave. I think that would have been a kick-ass logo, personally. Drew, what do you got to promote?
Sure, Prez. I got a 4% up for tonight. Prime time tonight, guys, in the tournament. And 5-0, the last 4% sides.
Nice.
It's been a heck of a run here, Prez. Actually, number one in college basketball at WagerTalk over the last month or so in terms of return on investment. Not a high volume, guys, so there's more guys out there that have got more units. But in terms of ROI, it's been a heck of a run here the last month, Prez. Beautiful. And hopefully another positive ending to another college basketball season, man. So always good to be on with you, Prez.
Brother, you'll be on next week, too. We're right in the middle of college hoops. You're one of the best there is. Expect to be in the same spot next week. Teddy covers, we got 100 likes. It's time for our daily presidential address. Daniel, son, cue it up. Okay, guys. So here's the bottom line. I know everybody is hardcore into college basketball right now. So am I. It's exciting and fun. I've had a monster college basketball season. I'm up close to 60 units on the year. I have won both play-in games. I'm on a 14-5, 20-8 college basketball run. I got 3 going today. They're all late, and I also have 1 NHL play, but I got 3 games to give out to you guys now, and I'm going to speak conceptually. I'm looking to bet on the following 3 teams for a while, for the next little while. I'm looking to bet on Vegas. This is a loaded team, especially after the deadline. Noah Hannafin has just made that defense even better. They're gotten everybody back except Mark Stone. I love this Vegas team. I'm looking to bet them regularly. Tonight, I'm looking to bet them in regulation. The Detroit Red Wings have been horrific. I'm looking to bet them moving forward almost every game. I'm looking to bet them tonight. Plus, basically, it's a pick 'em. The only thing that worries me about this game is the Islanders are in a free fall, and they're going to have to turn it around at some point. But I am looking to bet Detroit moving forward and tonight. And I'm looking to bet the New Jersey Devils moving forward and tonight. They're playing Winnipeg. I think Winnipeg's one of the best teams in hockey. I just think this is a really bad spot for Winnipeg. So I like the New Jersey Devils. Guys, I'm begging you to play my college hoops. I've been begging you all year. You've made a ton with me so far. And make sure to buy my 3-day all access because tomorrow is my biggest college basketball card of my life. Teddy, I know we went late, brother. Take us home.
Sure, that's going to wrap it for the Thursday edition of WagerTalk Today. We'll do it again tomorrow. Same time, same channel, 9 a.m. here on the left coast. Noon for you back east. Between now and tomorrow's show, enjoy the madness and best of luck with all your wagers.